Welcome to the epic tale of the Roman Empire, a civilization that shaped the world as we know it today. From the grandeur of its architecture to the brutality of its gladiatorial games, Rome was a place where power, ambition, and human drama collided in ways that still captivate us. Today, we're diving into the stories of some of the most fascinating figures in Roman history, emperors who rose to unimaginable heights, only to fall in tragic, often brutal ways. Our journey begins with Julius Caesar, the man who laid the foundation for the Roman Empire. Caesar was a brilliant military strategist, a charismatic leader, and a ruthless politician. He rose to power during a time of great turmoil in Rome, when the Republic was on the brink of collapse. With his legendary legions, Caesar conquered much of Gaul, expanding Rome's territories and amassing wealth and prestige. But his ambition didn't stop there. He set his sights on Rome itself, crossing the Rubicon River with his armies and sparking a civil war that would change the course of history. Caesar's victory in the Civil War made him dictator of Rome, but his reign was short-lived. On the Ides of March in 44 BCE, a group of senators led by Brutus and Cassius conspired against him. They stabbed him multiple times in the Senate, shouting, "This is for liberty," as he fell to the ground. Caesar's last words, according to legend, were "Et tu, Brute," and "you, Brutus," a poignant expression of betrayal and heartbreak. His death plunged Rome into another round of civil war, but it also paved the way for the rise of his adopted son, Octavian, who would become the first emperor of Rome, Augustus. Augustus ruled Rome for 41 years, bringing stability and peace after decades of turmoil. He established the Praetorian Guard, reformed the calendar, and oversaw a golden age of Roman culture. But Augustus's reign wasn't without its challenges. His personal life was marked by tragedy, including the death of his daughter Julia, who was exiled and eventually starved to death for her alleged adultery. Despite these hardships, Augustus died peacefully in 14 CE, leaving behind a legacy that would be remembered for centuries. Not all Roman emperors were as fortunate as Augustus. Take Caligula, for example, who ascended to the throne in 37 CE. Initially beloved by the people for his lavish spending and public spectacles, Caligula quickly descended into madness and tyranny. He ordered the construction of a bridge across the Bay of Baiae, not for practical purposes but simply to prove he could. He even appointed his horse, Incitatus, as a consul, much to the outrage of the Senate. His reign of terror ended just 4 years later when he was stabbed to death by a conspiracy involving members of his own bodyguard. One of the most fascinating and controversial emperors was Nero, who ruled from 54 CE to 68 CE. Nero is infamous for allegedly fiddling while Rome burned during the Great Fire of 64 CE. While the story may be exaggerated, Nero did use the disaster to build a grand new palace, the Golden House, which was a symbol of his extravagance. Nero's reign was marked by artistic expression. He saw himself as a poet and musician, but also by ruthless suppression of his enemies. His paranoia led to the executions of his own mother, Agrippina the Younger, and his wife, Poppaea Sabina. In the end, Nero faced a rebellion led by the governor of Gaul, Galba. Realizing his time was up, Nero took his own life, becoming the first Roman emperor to commit suicide. The Roman Empire reached its zenith under the so-called Five Good Emperors, who ruled from 96 CE to 180 CE. Among them was Trajan, who expanded Rome's territories to their greatest extent, conquering Dacia, modern-day Romania, and annexing Arabia Petrea. Trajan was known for his fairness, his military prowess, and his public works projects, which included the construction of roads, aqueducts, and public buildings. However, his successor, Hadrian, faced new challenges as the empire began to decline. Hadrian built the famous wall in Britain to protect Rome's territories from barbarian invasions, but it was a sign of things to come. One of the most tragic stories in Roman history is that of Commodus, the son of Marcus Aurelius, the last of the 5 good emperors. Commodus was a spoiled and unstable young man who became emperor at just 18 years old. He was more interested in gladiatorial combat than governance, and his reign was marked by corruption and decadence. Commodus declared himself a living god, renaming Rome after himself and appearing in the Colosseum as a gladiator. His robes were stained with the blood of animals he had killed, and he decreed that all documents should refer to him as Hercules Romanus. His reign of madness ended in 192 CE when he was strangled by a wrestler named Narcissus, who was acting on orders from a conspiracy involving his own courtiers. The fall of the Roman Empire is a story of gradual decline, marked by internal corruption, external pressures, and economic strain. As the empire grew larger, it became increasingly difficult to manage. The once mighty legions were stretched thin, and the constant influx of barbarian tribes along the borders took its toll. In 378 CE, the Battle of Adrianople marked a turning point when a large Roman army was decimated by the Visigoths. This defeat exposed the vulnerability of the empire, and over the next century, Rome was repeatedly sacked by various barbarian groups. The final blow came in 476 CE when the Western Roman Empire officially fell to Odoacer, a Germanic chieftain. The Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, would survive for another 1,000 years, but the Western Empire was no more. The legacy of the Roman Empire is immeasurable. From its laws to its architecture, from its language to its governance, Rome's influence can still be seen in modern societies. The stories of its emperors remind us of the dangers of ambition, the corrupting influence of power, and the enduring resilience of the human spirit. Whether it's the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius,